10 Middle-earth tales worth adapting. Welcome to Next Chapter Audio, where we bring the greatest stories to life. Middle-earth is full of legends beyond the Lord of the Rings, and today we're diving into 10 incredible tales from J.R.R. Tolkien's vast world that are just waiting to be adapted. From epic battles to heartwarming love stories, each one of these adventures offers something unforgettable. So grab your cloak and sword, and let's explore the untold stories of Middle-earth. Number 10. The Creation. There are times when you have to go back to the beginning of a tale in order to fully comprehend it. Beginning in the void of darkness is where Middle-earth begins. The Valar are the result of the creation of Eru Ilúvatar, the Creator. These entities perform the role of gods, exercising authority over the land, sea, and air. After that, they join their Lord in singing, and the music that they creates the diverse landscapes of Arda, and by extension, Middle-earth. During the course of the journey, Melkor, or Morgoth, attempts to weave his own melody. He is of the opinion that his strategy is superior than those of everyone else. The remainder of the history of the planet is influenced by that degree of hubris. This sequence is very breathtaking. As a result of the fact that songs play a significant role in Tolkien's writing, it follows that music is the element that constructs the world. In addition, the subject matter is of a biblical nature, which lends Middle-earth an incredible amount of depth and shakes you to your very core. This can be attributed in large part to Tolkien's beautiful prose. In terms of power, these primeval compositions are readily comparable to that of a holy epic. Number 9. Fëanor's Crusade. Eventually, Morgoth exacts his vengeance upon the Valar. In the heavenly realm of Valinor, Fëanor achieves a high level of renown among his fellow elves due to his exceptional workmanship. With the blessing of the Valar, he is able to fashion the Silmarils, which are jewels that are infused with divine light. Regrettably, Morgoth is responsible for the theft of these wealth, the murder of Fëanor's father, and the depletion of the light from Valinor by the poisoning of the holy trees. Following this, the elf gathers his people and sets out to seek the Dark God. Although the Valar warn him against departing from the undying lands, Fëanor is steadfast in his pursuit of vengeance, even resorting to the murder of his relatives in order to ensure the safety of their vessels. This determination ultimately proves to be his undoing, as Morgoth outwits him and leaves his fellow elves alone in Middle-earth. One could say that the entire campaign is a terrible story of how arrogance can ruin purity. The act of destruction that Morgoth does against Valinor is a clear demonstration of his corruption. Yet, Fëanor is also a victim of this corruption. In the beginning, his inherent abilities are a benefit. However, as time goes on, the elf grows enamored with his own significance and exploits his creations as a justification for war, unfortunately causing the destruction of his people in the process. Seeing such beauty ruined on television would have a different impact than reading about it on the text, where the fall is already a terrible event. Number 8. Beren and Lúthien. The most well-known love story in Middle-earth is comprised of these two individuals. An individual named Beren, who has endured a life of adversity, eventually finds himself in an elven country, where he comes face to face with the heavenly princess Lúthien. They quickly became a couple and share a desire to develop their relationship further. Unfortunately, Lúthien's father is adamantly opposed to the idea, making a joke that he will only give up if Beren produces a Silmaril to him. The resolute warrior embarks on that very task, and his potential sweetheart sneaks in to accompany him on his journey. they are able to triumph over insurmountable obstacles, and even outwit Sauron and Morgoth by relying solely on their willpower and cunning. The reason that this story has persisted is not a secret. This adventure of Beren and Lúthien is a rare example of an optimistic story that may be found in the First Age. The passion that the characters have for one another is great, but the acts that they take speak far louder. In order to achieve success, both of them exerted a great deal of work and made use of their individual strengths. The deficiencies of the other are compensated for by the other. Not only does this deviate from the typical pattern of romance in medieval times, but it also makes you feel invested in both of the characters, leaving you pulling for them to have a happy ending. This couple has the potential to give Romeo and Juliet a run for their money, and star-crossed lovers are a great source of simplicity for drama. Number 7. The Fall of Gondolin. Gondolin is a remarkable creature that is difficult to locate. This country, which is carved out of flawless stone, possesses the function of both a refuge and a hub for ambitious craftsmen. The weapons, structures, and armor that are created here are held in high esteem in the world due to their exquisite appearance. Morgoth has the intention of obliterating that beauty, but because the kingdom is situated in a concealed area, this is extremely unlikely to occur. Despite this, a messenger from Valar warns of the impending approach of the villain, but the warning is ignored by everyone. The treacherous nephew of the king opens the door for Morgoth's armies, and as a result, the realm is subjected to a horrifying massacre, leaving the few people who manage to escape as refugees. In spite of the fact that this outcome is regrettable, it presents an opportunity to examine the cultures and issues in greater depth. In addition to working with trees, elves are also capable of creating stone marvels that are on par with those created by dwarves. Through the use of Gondolin, it is possible to dispel any preconceived notions that exist regarding these feminine individuals, so permanently altering the audience's perception of these eternal beings. The story, more crucially, demonstrates the foolishness of hubris that is not based on faith. The elves choose to disregard the Valar's benign warning, and as a result, Middle-earth suffers additional suffering as a result of their overconfidence. There are moments when even the most brilliant minds require assistance. This is a lesson that may be learned by anybody who watches Gondolin, which is why it is a universal story. Number 6. The Children of Húrin. Innumerable lives were lost as a result of the struggle against Morgoth. Ones such as Húrin are among the most disappointing ones. In order to make it possible for his comrades to flee, this champion of men courageously holds off the armies of the enemy. After that, Morgoth kidnaps him, shackles him to the peak of a mountain, and bestows upon him the ability to see far into the future. Húrin's people are subjected to unimaginable agony as a result of the Dark Lord's actions, and the hero is forced to see his children's descent into ruin and death. When Húrin is eventually allowed to go free, he is told that his wife has passed away from old age and despair. It is because of this misfortune that he becomes the leader of a band of outlaws who steal and pillage in order to survive. Morgoth's armies are able to discover the remaining free kingdoms as a result of his urgent cries for assistance. As the devastated Húrin observes the destruction he has created, he decides to take his own life. While it is obvious that this story is not exactly pleasant, it does pack quite a punch. You are unable to refrain from feeling terrible for Húrin and his relatives. As they make an effort to make the most of a difficult circumstance, their efforts only serve to further demoralize them and heighten their sense of hopelessness. This anecdote, more than any other example, exemplifies Morgoth's malicious approach to the situation. He is not interested in dominating. Rather, he is looking to corrupt. Your empathy for his victims is the only thing that can compare to the admiration you have for his malicious brilliance. Number 5. Eärendil's Plea. This is such a funny fact that one of the greatest heroes of the elves is a man. Morgoth controls a significant portion of Middle-earth under his control by the time the First Age comes to a close. The majority of his adversaries have been defeated or corrupted by him, and the remaining ones are frantically looking for a solution. In light of the fact that the people turned their backs on the Valar, Eärendil, a man who is descended from Gondolin, believes that things went awry. As a result, he sets sail for Valinor in order to seek their assistance and to beg their forgiveness. The gods answer by destroying Morgoth's army, putting the villain in a prison for all of time, and bestowing divine honors upon Eärendil and his family. He, in essence, becomes the atonement for the sins of all people, whether they are elves, humans, or dwarfs. It is reassuring to know that this conclusion applies to people from various social backgrounds. The fight with Morgoth is brought to a satisfying conclusion by grabbing hope from hopelessness, which is the superficial appearance of the situation. On a more profound level, it reaffirms the ability of faith to heal and maintains that it is never too late to ask for forgiveness. After millennia of suffering, the characters require such solace in order to feel better. These positive messages have the potential to help the audience get through the challenges that they face in life. Number 4. The Silmarillion. This is the Holy Bible of Middle-earth, which you can find here. The Silmarillion is a book that details the extensive history of Tolkien's universe, beginning with his lyrical beginnings and ending with the Lord of the Rings. As a result, it contains a great deal of what has previously been described on this list. This truth may give the impression that it is a way out, but it is not quite that. All that is required of you is to take a look at the bigger picture. Each of these tales is captivating in its own right, but when taken together, they form a larger story that is more comprehensive. From one episode to the next, there are a number of themes, characters, and plot strands that are transferred across. The significance of the components has increased as a consequence of this. It is not possible to find a better illustration of this than with the Silmarils themselves. It is the loss of these jewels that takes the story to a bitterly ironic conclusion. The quest for these jewels is the driving force behind the majority of the crucial fights and adventures. One can only properly appreciate their corruptive power if they had first experienced the fight that has been going on for a long time. Using the same yardstick, the only way to comprehend the vastness of the Silmarillion is to be present for all of its events. Number 3. The Fall of Númenor. Although this catastrophe would eventually be shown in Amazon's Rings of Power, its origins may be traced back to a much earlier time than this show. An island kingdom known as Númenor was bestowed upon the human race by the Valar. Regrettably, the locals develop a love for sailing, which ultimately leads to their participation in the activity. In spite of the fact that their journeys to Middle-earth begin in a benign manner, they quickly begin to impose their control. After recognizing that weakness, Sauron stokes the flames of their wrath. In the end, he is successful in manipulating them into conquering the Undying Lands, where they are able to forcibly remove the immortality that the elves have enjoyed. Upon witnessing that deed, Eru Ilúvatar is compelled to drown their island along with its fleets. Those who continue to be faithful to the Valar are the only ones who have survived. The decline of Númenor is a challenge to you as a reader. Having ambition is an inherent trait of human beings. It serves as the impetus for people to achieve success in their endeavors. You have the ability to sympathize with the people who live on the island. However, there is a thin line that separates ambition from selfishness, and it is not always easy to tell which one is which. Observing the Númenorians as they cross that border is the source of the story's profound potential for human impact. Again, Tolkien's writing masterfully prioritizes humility and faith over greed and vanity. He does this consistently. Number 2, the Fall of Arnor. The demonic despots Morgoth and Sauron are not the only ones to leave their mark on the world. One level below the Witch King is the Witch King. However, in addition to being the leader of the evil ringwraiths, he is also the ruler of his own realm, which is called Angmar. During the Second Age, he engages in a conflict with Arnor, a kingdom located in the northern region that is comprised of Númenorian survivors. This realm is completely destroyed by the Witch King, leaving Gondor as the only significant bastion for the remnants of the human race. This struggle not only presents yet another interesting war, but it also fills in some important gaps in the narrative. To be more specific, it demonstrates that the Witch King is not comparable to any other lackey. In the same way that Sauron himself possesses psychotic drive and strategic prowess, conquering a rival realm demonstrates both of these qualities. The fact that he was able to destroy it demonstrates the extent of his nefarious powers. When fans see the aftermath of the destruction of Aman-Sul in Arnor in The Lord of the Rings, there is no reason not to depict the events that occurred before that. Number 1. The Battle of Green Fields. Hobbits in general stay away from worldly affairs. Nonetheless, they have the potential to become some of the most heroic characters. In addition to those from the main plot, the history of Middle-earth acknowledges Bandobra's Bullroarer Took. The fact that he rides a horse rather than a pony demonstrates that he is unusually tall for a halfling. When the goblins invade his country of the Shire, he finds that size to be more than appropriate. With his club aimed directly at the goblin commander, Took assaults their ranks head-on and strikes him with it. In the process of winning the war, and serving as an inspiration to golfers for many years to come, the blow causes the villain's head to be severed and sends it down a rabbit hole. There is a possibility that you may see that this story is not as weighty as the others, but it is not a negative thing. The simple way of life that hobbits lead contributes to the fact that they are fundamentally more innocent than other races. There is a possibility that a story about these little people would be a welcome change of pace. In addition to that, it can bolster their appeal as an underdog. However, despite the fact that these individuals are the least likely to be heroes in Middle-earth, one of their own emerges victorious after leading the charge against an overwhelming adversary. Those courageous actions demonstrate a level of bravery that is well above their diminutive size, which makes you admire these halflings even more. Hobbits are the perfect representation of the story of David overcoming Goliath, which is a subject that people enjoy seeing. Why not find out more about one of them? Thanks for watching. Which Middle-earth story would you like to see brought to life next? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to Next Chapter Audio for more deep dives into the greatest tales ever written. Until next time, keep the spirit of adventure alive.